Day off yesterday. We'll find out training tonight. But once again, we've thought he's going to be close over the last couple of weeks, and he hasn't. So, yeah, we're not sort of budgeting too much for him playing at the moment. We'll see.
You must be pleased with the way Zach played the other day. You don't have Aaron, at least Zach's in great form.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. But ultimately, we sort of haven't won enough games in the last couple of weeks. So, whilst we can flatter players playing in positions and Zach being one of those, then the result is that we have to win.
Is there a positive though, the fact that he has stepped up to the plate, and if you're looking into the future, then
I think that from a team point of view, what we've had to do throughout the course of this year, and how we've had to induct players either into the team or into major jobs for the team. I think that's going to hold us in really good stead. And what I mean by that is, is Fife plays the majority of the year in the midfield because Morabito's not there, or that's going to do Nathan the world of good, as an example.
Because it does sound rough on Zach. We haven't won games, but he's played okay. By the way you're saying it, but you're not meaning that in a sense that. No. It's about finding the right combination to win. Yeah. No, not at all. No. I think Zach's going to be a draw card for this team.
Monday, you seem confident that either Sandilands or Mundy, one of the two, would play. Has something changed between them and now that?
No, nothing's changed. Just the extent of this injury and how it keeps dragging on. I'm just making you aware of the situation, really. It's up to Carlton how they plan for that, but probably less inclined to make comment about it because we've probably said over the last couple of weeks that they might be playing 3 weeks ago, as an example.
Is the injury more serious than you actually would have originally thought? Like the extent of what the toe can tolerate?
It's just an unusual injury that, I remember when I first said it, what sort of injury it was, turf toe, if you remember, and no one really had heard of it. So I think we're dealing with something in AFL that hasn't been around too much. So once again, he's had a reoccurrence of it, so we'll just wait and see.
It's hard planning going forward. Obviously, you want to play finals and you want to get him back as soon as possible to help you, but he's not going to be all Australian Aaron Sandlands. He's going to be a lower level player.
Oh, that's right. I think I haven't looked at how many weeks he's been out, but it'll be effectively one game in perhaps 10 or 12 weeks. So.
David Mundy's been saying around 21 for a while. Where's his fitness at?
Well, he's certainly running now, which is a real positive, but just pulling up a bit sore at the moment.
So you want to put a line through him for Saturday?
Possibly. But the thing is, once you overcome the injury or you're starting, it's then the pressure you put on it at training and whether it gets sore. So that's the stage we're at with him.
Are you confident they'll be able to come straight back into AFL footy when they are ready to play?
It's always a topic of debate. I don't think we've got nothing to lose at this stage. I wouldn't have thought. I'm not sure. Well, I know that we haven't got better players than Mundy and Sandlands on our list that are available at the moment that are not in the team.
How frustrating is it for you having arguably your two best players on the sidelines at the moment?
Once again, I think it's the teams. We've found out a lot about the team, perhaps what I can and can't do under that sort of strain. And ultimately, every club will go through it, and just happens to be our team.
You're feeling a little bit of pressure considering Fremantle came into the season and everyone expected you to play finals.
No, you guys did.
We're not. You didn't think you'd play
not once
finals?
did we. You've asked that question many times in January and February and March, and not once did we put any expectation on what we're doing externally. So and you can go back and have a look at press conferences if you want. So that's not us.
So you didn't think you'd make finals this year at the start of the year?
I just said in answer to your question, what we've been saying, and that has been a constant message.
The experts have been saying, or would have said at the start of the year, that you were going to make finals after making finals last year.
The experts change their mind a lot.
Next month, it's almost like you've got 4 elimination games in terms of making the 8. Do you approach them differently as you would have, say, a couple of months ago when you were inside the 8, or it's become more desperate?
I mean, every game's desperate.
I mean, the mental edge and the preparation of the season and how you go and the ups and downs, there's always a challenge. It's now getting to probably an extreme challenge. So we'll wait and find out whether we can make sure that we put the pressure on other clubs.
If you make the 8 though, Archie, you've got to obviously go through all the adversity you have. What sort of achievement would that be for this group, given the personnel you've had all year?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the excitement of playing last year in the 2 finals that we did should be in their blood, and they should want to maintain or get somewhere around that sort of area again. So that's, and I think the more and more experience, particularly our younger players, get at this level, at that level, you need to hold yourself in good stead to be able to do that regularly to get to the next level of finals.
The fact that it's backs to the wall at the moment, and people probably aren't expecting you to make it now. Could that play in your advantage, just taking a bit of the pressure off there?
Well, ultimately, you know, Carlton's probably playing for a top 4 position this game. Following weeks, they're all teams, Collingwood, Kangaroos and Bulldogs, are all playing for something like we are playing for. So everyone else, every club's got their different challenge when we meet each other.
Who's something from McVeigh?
There's a number of players that we're looking at. You've got some small, quick forwards, Carlton. That's not answering the McPhee question, though.
Good distraction.
Yeah, I think we'll make a number of changes. Yeah.
Because of purely because of matchups and stuff.
Yep.
What sort of player? What sort of players you got to fill those roles in? You can try some names who you might be looking at the moment.
Well, I mean, all the guys that have either emerged these last week or in previous weeks that haven't got in the team. You can see how guys like Griffin and Aaron and these sort of guys go at training. It's whether we do something subtly different in sort of line-up. So, yeah, I think once again it's a real challenge that's got to come from within ultimately, even though you might make a change or two.
All the guys who have played on them are small guys like Hayden. And
yeah.
Obviously you can't pick from Subin's been battling a bit since coming back. Have you got the small options or do you have to go a bit taller on them?
Perhaps we might go taller, yeah. That might be the way to go. Yeah. Perhaps we'll set Silvani to, you know, a challenge in a small forward. He's got good speed and they've got, I mean, it's whether it's, you know, weight of Jamison and whether they actually fit enough to play this week. They haven't got a tallish forward line. Thornton's been down there, so just have a look at those areas and see whether we get the right matchups.
Was McPhee only getting 1 week, the first bit of luck you've had for a while, do you reckon?
No, I think it was common sense.
How big is the Judd factor?
Yeah.
You would have seen last week, I think, firsthand.
I think, you know, the interesting part about quite regularly you do press conferences and you're asked how you're going to go against the opposition. Well, I think 8 out of 10 times we've beaten them in the last time. You know, I mean, that's a real positive from our point of view, and it's over here on our own soil. So, you know, maybe there's just a little bit of a factor of that going into this game, and that's the way we'll display ourselves. That we understand that they've improved a lot.
So he's the best player in the competition at the moment, Chris Judd?
He is, yep. Don't worry about the deflection of Murphy. I mean, I think there's a compliment coming from this guy. They're both good players, but Judd's, yeah, he is.
Why do you think he's been so? I mean, we know ability-wise he's great, but
I think the ability for him to be able to adapt to being sat on regularly and evolving an opposition ploy on a weekly basis, and then his understanding around a stoppage and then beyond a stoppage, and he's got some powerful tools that he quite often would wear his opponent into the ground and would work on different strategies throughout the course of the game to make sure that he did get the opposition. So, I mean, I don't know him personally, but I would assume he's got a very good knowledge of how to be involved in this game at the elite level.
Crowley then, to see Loom as the most likely man to come in and play on Chris Judd?
I mean, he would be an option for us, yeah. I thought Mayne did a really good job on Goddard last week, so it's whether we throw something like that up at.
Would you ever throw Nat Fyfe up against him to learn something?
I'd love to, but it's not at the expense of the result. You know, we're at a stage probably now where we can't experiment too much with that type of thing.
With your injuries, last week there was a debate about whether or not a mid-season draft should come in to allow clubs to restock when they've got injuries. Would you have supported something like that this year to be able to go and get some players?
I think it's probably. I haven't looked too much into it, but I think we've got our hands full on a weekly basis, just trying planning and strategy of weekly outcomes. So whether it's a distraction or whether we're just complementing or adding to the interest of the game, it's up for debate. Whatever the AFL decide, we'll do.
Mark, just on the travel, the sub rule, has that made it more difficult for interstate teams? You've got less time for guys to rest during a game. Has that impacted that, you think?
Not just the sub play, it's the extent of the players staying on the ground for longer periods, and you're seeing a lot of players, right across Australia saying that it's taking them longer to recover. And they're saying that basically without the travel, most of them. So yeah, it's an interesting debate, and I think it's the AFL really have to address it in the draw at the end of the year.